1, 2, 3, 4. All right, welcome back to Country and Cold Cans. I'm Logan, sitting here with Trucker Andy and Kyle. As always, be sure to go follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Twitter, pretty much anywhere where you get your podcast. Give us 5 stars, great review. Follow us on the social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Go on over to the YouTube channel, click subscribe, and hit the alert bell on that. And then check out the website, coldcansnetwork.com. Or countryandcoldcans.com. Check out the blog content and pick yourself up a very nice neoprene koozie or a Richardson 112 or 113 trucker hat with our awesome logo on it. It's a really nice stitched patch hat, so we didn't cheap out on anything. Be sure to go check that out and pick you up some merch. All right, so fellas, we have what I think is probably safe to say could be a Country and Cold Cans Album of the Year contender.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this kind of lived up to the hype. I mean, I knew that the hardcore fans of Zach Bryan's were gonna be like hardcore fans of American Aquarium or of Turnpike. I mean, they were gonna love it regardless. I've been a fan of Zach Bryan for a little while, but I've been a bigger fan since I saw him in concert at the Ritz in Raleigh. It was that moment that I kind of like finally got it, so to speak, because I've heard a lot of people say they just don't get it, and some people are just like fervently fanboys about it. It was going to the show that I finally got it, and then we heard from Austin, something that we'll get into next week. But you know, we all were big fans of that. It was kind of the first taste of full production from Zach Bryan, because so far, you know, up until recently, he's been in the United States Navy and didn't have the full production budgets or access to like studios and everything to be able to do a full-on debut studio record like a lot of artists do. It had been a little bit more low production quality. He kind of recorded it with some friends. It had a lot more of a looser kind of vibe to it, but the music was still good. One thing that's always stood out about this guy is his songwriting. He just has a natural ability to be able to weave words together and be able to say things in a way that the average songwriter just doesn't do. I've been a fan of that. I think is the songwriting is what initially drew me to his music. What about you guys? Like, what was kind of like the moment you kind of became a fan?
Probably when you told us.
Definitely.
Andy, go ahead.
I would say definitely probably from Austin, because I only knew about him before that. And then just more and more since I like his voice too. Like I think they call it the Zach Bryan growl, as I've seen in comments.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it. I dig it.
Yeah, I'm about the same. Ever since really you sent us that one song. And then I chose it for my Sad Boy Summer song. So
yeah, that's true. It was the
first one.
Your very first one for the Sad Boy Summer playlist. And while you're at it, go follow that on Spotify. But yeah, so Zach Bryan is a very interesting case because ever so often in the independent world, we've seen artists that have come along and they kind of make some noise without radio play. And it seems like through the years, it's gotten bigger and bigger because like you listen to folks that are older than us, Andy can attest to this, talk about Cross Canadian Ragweed. You saw their influence throughout the Texas Red Dirt music, and to the point that Dirk Bentley referenced them on mainstream radio back in like 2005 on Free and Easy, his single he had on the radio. He's a big fan of those guys. Then you kind of move forward along and, you know, you have guys like within the independent realm, you have guys like Sturgill Simpson and Tyler Childers who took it's different types of music, of course, from different regions of the country, but they took kind of that same mindset of being independent musicians, and it just resonated with people. Now Tyler Childers and Sturgill went on like an arena tour where they were filling out much larger venues than what people had been accustomed to seeing people from like that type of music from without the big major labels backing you. Then along, like glossing over a lot of people that have been like that, but then along in the last few years, you know, we're in the internet age, the streaming age. Zach Bryan has just had a way of really just connecting with an audience. And what's very interesting about Zach Bryan to me is his audience is very young. His audience is college age kids. And it's not just people who don't like what's on the radio, because there's a lot of that in his fan base, but there's a lot of people who will simultaneously listen to, you know, the whatever's on mainstream pop country, but also love Zach Bryan. Go to the show. Know almost every single word to every song, even if it hasn't been released yet. I mean, he just kind of like caught fire and resonated with people via the streaming and the internet age. And it was an incredible thing to watch. And for a while, I liked his music, but like I said, I didn't really understand the like, I didn't fully get it. Then I finally got it. And now I was like, I'm all in on it because I'm a big fan of this guy. He has a very good stage presence, puts on a great show. And then he still has he has an exclusive licensing deal with, I believe it's Warner Music, that is kind of like helping distribute his music these days. And this is like his first like major label debut, even though he's not technically on the label, but they have a licensing agreement, like I said. But this is his first big time debut where it's a full studio record. And one thing he released, and let me see if I can find the screen cap I had of it, so I can actually read it. So he released a statement on the day that American Heartbreak was dropped, and he said, "Some songs are sad, some songs are happy, some are hopeful, and some are hopeless. All of them mean something different to me, and I pray that they mean something to someone else. American Heartbreak is my effort at trying to explain what being a 26-year-old man in America is like. There's love, loss, revelry, resentment, and forgiveness all wrapped into one piece of work. Thank you guys for listening always." And this is the one thing I would say that when I first kind of made it all the way through all 34 tracks here on American Heartbreak, is this has probably been one of the most effective and best efforts I've seen from an artist in a long, long time of kind of speaking to the American experience. And especially knowing the context of him saying like this was his experience as a 26-year-old living in America. He had said part of that statement that, you know, some of it was personal songs, some of it were like stories and more narrative driven, but Zach Bryan was really effective at capturing the American experience. And I think it's aptly titled American Heartbreak. There's a little bit of everything. Like you said, there's love, there's loss, there's resentment, there's forgiveness, redemption, all of that wrapped into this record. And sonically, you know, it's definitely rooted in roots music. Some of it's pretty country. Some of it is kind of leans in the heartland rock direction. And then some of it is fully fleshed out in the studio production wise. And then other ones is kind of sticks with that Zach Bryan kind of roots of being a little bit more like, I guess, looser with the recording process like he did with his previous stuff. And, you know, he released a 34 track record here. Now, for the purposes of our podcast and the purposes of time, we're going to split the album up into two, cover part one this week, part two next week. Because for us to really be able to listen to it, digest it over the weekend and be able to talk about it and not sound like a complete idiot on Monday, we needed to split it up because 34 songs is a lot for our little brains to handle sometimes, especially when you have a songwriter that sometimes, you know, it isn't. Yeah, writes some deep shit and doesn't write it in something that is just you're going to pick up on every single little aspect the first time you listen to it. So what we did was Andy split it up.
Or the 10th.
Or the 10th sometimes, yeah. So Andy split it up to where we end it with Highway Boys for the part one. What was it? It was 17 tracks. Yeah. So, guys, before we jump in, do you guys want to add any thoughts or anything about what kind of like your initial opinion of the record?
Well, a couple of things. One, according to, I don't ever look up anything hardly on songs other than lyrics, but I was just trying to familiarize myself with background because I try not to influence my opinions. But according to Whiskey Riff, this song the album already has 1 billion global streams, which is an ass load of streams.
That's incredible.
Yeah, according to Whiskey Riff, this album has already surpassed 1 billion global streams. And there was something else I wanted to touch on according to this article, the album shattered the 2022 record for most streamed country album in a single day of the year on both Apple Music and Spotify, which is wild. I mean, I know it's 34 songs, but still. Billion with a B is
and that's since
crazy.
Friday.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm probably responsible for 100 of them, but
yeah, I was gonna say I added a fair share myself this past weekend, and it wasn't just because we were trying to cover it on Monday. It was also just because I really, really liked it.
Oh yeah, same here.
I listened to it every song as soon as it dropped on YouTube. But I'll say that if you're going to try to capture the American experience, kind of makes sense for it to be a long album, because I don't think you could do that in standard album length. You would try to pack too much into single songs, and it's just not going to work.
Andy, I think he listens to this podcast and he heard your complaints of 7-song albums, and he was like, "Hold my beer."
He's like, hold my beer,
Yeah.
Andy. Trucker Andy, this one's
I'm
for
gonna
you.
multiply it by 5.
He's like, this one's for Trucker Andy. 34 songs coming your way.
beer,
I think
30.
he did, because there's no acoustics, there's no lives.
Yeah, that's true.
Must have listened.
And there's only one song that has 2 different versions. So, and since it's 34 tracks, well, Andy will let that one slide by his rules for albums.
Yeah.
But Andy, too, like you mentioned in the American experience, one thing that I think I appreciated with the way Zach Bryan handled whenever he broached the topic of like rural America and the idea of living, in areas with lower population numbers, is you see in the mainstream where a lot of people make it seem like it's just this party-filled wonderland of dirt roads, cold beer, and Daisy Dukes. And then on the flip side, you see in the independent where everyone acts like it's the worst place in the world, where everybody sucks and everybody's narrow-minded and everything about it is awful. In reality, I think both of those are extremes, and both of those are not accurate or indicative of what my experience was in America and growing up in a rural town. When Zach Bryan broached those topics, I think he did it in a way more effective way, and a way more accurate way on what's actually true of the American experience in a rural community. And for that, I actually really appreciate that it wasn't this party's town or everybody sucks. I think it was more realistic.
Because I thought before you said the quote where he said that what he was trying to accomplish, I literally was going to say, I mean, I really think this album kind of captures what's, being young in America is what I would have said, not knowing that he had already said that.
Yeah. Which means that he set out and accomplished what he wanted to.
Yeah.
So, all right, fellas, part 1, Zach Bryan, American Heartbreak. Let's dive into the track list. We're doing things a little differently this week, because we really liked this record a lot, and it was just so much. Like I said, we were splitting it up, but we're also going to kind of look at it track by track. We promise we're not going to drag on and on 20 minutes on each song, but we are going to try to look at each one of the 17. Ones. Yeah, only certain ones of the 17 years. So let's start at the beginning. Best place to start, am I right? So number 1 on the track list, we had Late July. I believe this was one of the singles that was released, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was the second or third, I want to say. It was pretty early on.
One of the things I found interesting about this was, like I said, how some of the songs are fully fleshed out in the studio, and then some are a little more indicative of his earlier output when he was not a full-time touring musician. This one is kind of stripped back. It sounds pretty acoustic, and it's almost like easing into what Zach Bryan fans are used to. Like, because if you listen to production scale on this one versus, say, From Austin from the other one, or just a couple of the others like Happy Instead or whatever, this one's a lot more stripped back and sounds like it's just like him and a guitar and everything. So I think this was an effective way of kind of kicking it off with that, where it's like you're not alienating what made you popular in the first place, but it also eventually you kind of get to a change a little bit sonically with the production value as the record goes on.
Yeah, the only thing with this song is because when it came out as a single, I had started considering I started basically with From Austin was basically my full introduction to Zach Bryan. This one sat a little bit odd when I first heard it, having, before the album came out, because I liked From Austin so much better sound wise than this. But what you said, though, makes a lot of sense, because it's not, they're not aiming at me on the sound for that aspect.
Yeah, because in some ways, like, you're kind of late to the party in terms of the Zach Bryan fans. So
yeah, like BJ Barnum says, we all got here at different times.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, what is your take on this song? Because, like, for me, this song kind of really tackles being on the road. Yeah, you're chasing another good time, but at the same time, you're lamenting how you would rather chasing another good time that you'll regret, but at the same time, you kind of wish you were coming home to the one that you love. It's the yin and yang of road life, and whether it's being a touring musician or just being a young person in America, and you're burning up the roads with whiskey and hot women.
I wasn't that hot on the song. mainly because it wasn't, a lot of the songs are slow, but I wasn't a fan of just how stripped back it was. Especially when you listen to some of the other ones, like I think all of our favorite songs on this album. That song reminded me, "She's All Right." That song reminded me of something I could hear on a Matchbox 20 album. It was just.
That's an interesting comparison.
Well, I mean, just it sounded like an alt rock.
It's like he's sitting there. He's like a very deep song. He's like, you know what? This makes me think of Rob Thomas.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, just the sound of the song. Exclude the lyrics, please. But I mean, because Logan, you didn't listen to a lot of 2000s rock, Andy, but you know how you could always on any 2000s rock album, you would have a heavy song, and then there would be like two really soft songs. That sounds like one of those soft songs. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Yeah. This was it wasn't one of my favorites.
Which makes
I don't
sense.
really have much to say on it.
Yeah, which makes sense considering, like I said, you guys haven't been longtime Zach Bryan fans. But then
I think
go ahead.
I think it is saying something, though, because it's not one of my favorites. I still really like this song. I listened to this multiple times when it was a single.
Yeah, I like the song, too. I mean, it's definitely not in my top of my favorites, but I think it's a good song on the record. But
I think I had to force myself to listen to it.
Definitely didn't have to do that.
This was probably my least favorite one.
Dang, starting things off right. Zach, Kyle's like, you know what?
Well, unlike you two, I am a simpleton and can't process a lot at one time, so I haven't even listened to the second half of the album. But we're on an uphill climb after this song.
Yeah. But all right, so next up, we're gonna spend a ton of time on this because Andy, what was it, episode 62? I think we looked at Something in the Orange. There's two versions on this. There's one on the first half that we're covering this week, one on the second half. This is Z&E's version, being him and his producer. Had a different cut they wanted to include on the record. I think collectively all really like this song. This is a fan favorite amongst his fan base. I think it's one of the better songs on the record. But if you want to kind of know more of our in-depth thoughts on this, go to, I think it was episode 62. It should be time-stamped beside his name on the Spotify description. So Something in the Orange. All right, next up. Kyle, you said it was someone we're a little slow, but we're going into a little bit more up tempo with Heavy Eyes. This one was countryer, and I think had a hint of bluegrass in some ways. But Heavy Eyes, what'd y'all think?
Yeah, I like the snare drum, and I'm assuming that's is it like an electric banjo, or is it just a banjo?
It's probably just a banjo.
Just a banjo. Okay.
Yeah, none of us are true pickers and studio musicians. I ain't gonna be able to tell you 100%.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I'm a big fan of the song.
Yeah, I mean, this song is really kind of like, my take on it is like, it's like living hard while young. You know what I mean? These heavy eyes weren't born for resting. Andy, I feel like that's something that you once upon a time would have said.
Yeah, probably. That doesn't sound about right, actually.
Back when Andy was taking the big almost 3-gallon beer bottle that used to house popcorn and pouring a 6-pack in it and trying to drink out of it.
It got hot before I finished it.
Logan, this is one of those songs that, I mean, you were around to do the little joke where we would always just look at each other and you would just see the foot tapping. You just can't help but a foot tap to the song.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's uncontrollable. Doing it right now.
I only wrote down one word for this song, and it's banger. This song is going to be absolutely electric live with that drum.
Yeah. This is
live. This probably.
I could see him opening with this song.
Yeah, I could. This would be a killer way to open a concert.
I can see
just come out and just get everybody fired up.
Before everybody comes out and it's still dark. That drum just starts while the stage is still dark. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, that would be right. Yeah, I could. Yeah. Well said, Andy. Certified, was it a banger, twanger? What's the American equivalent?
Was it slappers, bangers, and certified twangers?
Twangers. There it is. It fits the bill.
All right, so the next one, Mine Again. Good song. It's not one of my favorites. It's kind of, I took it as like a redemption song, overcoming demons, and like, someone in your life, not necessarily yourself, but you've seen the struggle they have, and now they're kind of have gotten a lot of their problems behind them. And, in some ways, like, comes to the title, they're mine again. Like I said, this wasn't one of my favorite ones. I liked it, but it wasn't something that it wasn't going to be on my list of favorites either.
This isn't my top 5, but actually I did think what you said. But after I listened, at the end, the song could be that. The song's also about himself, because at the end it says, "I am mine again," saying that he is himself again.
Yeah.
And it says too, some of the lines that really stood out to me on this one, that like the judgment of your mind when you're alone, it's like the self-judgment. And like at the end, it's the, don't be so cruel and play God with all his plans. That, right. And then he starts, that it's more that he found himself again.
Yeah.
The way I took it, the way the song ends is that, well, at the beginning when he's referring to it as you, he was talking about himself the whole time. Or it's also one of those that this could be you, but this is also me type songs.
Yeah. It's a good point. I think it's a very well written song. It's an enjoyable song. It's just, hey, man, there are 34 of them. Am I right? I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I can't listen to all of them as much as I do the others, but I do think that's a good point about the song. Kyle, any thoughts?
I'm about the same as you, Logan, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
All right, next up, we have a classic, Trucker Andy versus Logan. Not saying that he dislikes it, but we have a classic Trucker Andy versus Logan, where I like one probably a lot more than he does. So, Andy, what's your thoughts on Happy Instead? Because I love this song. Absolutely love this song.
There's this one and one more that's coming up later that I don't really follow the story here. I don't totally understand the story. I get lost in it.
Yeah. Well, this was
it's a lot of these songs.
This was my take on it. At the beginning of the song and pretty much throughout the whole thing, he's looking back at a failed relationship, right? And one of the things I wanted to point out, Andy, you being a big Turnpike fan, such as I am, that kind of reference.
Talk about 7 and 7 in a grocery store.
Yeah, the supermarket aisle reference. Definitely, I feel like that's a Turnpike reference because he's a huge Evan Felker fan. It's kind of a cool nod, in some ways, an homage, if you will. Yeah, an Easter egg, as they say in the nerd community for the Marvel movies. But Easter egg. But yeah, I mean, he's looking back at a failed relationship, and it kind of the tone of it changes throughout the whole time, whole song. Where the chorus at the first 2 times he sings it, he's talking about how be happy instead, and it's like I reckon that's how it should be. Then you could call me up and say you're okay. And this was the part that I've gotten. It says different things on the internet. The first time I heard it, what I heard was, well, you call me up and say you're okay, I wish I was dead. But then some websites say there. So I don't know which one it is. I'm still waiting for a more official confirmation on whether it's the lyric is dead or there. Either one I could see making sense. Dead seems a lot more darker, so that's where my head went at the beginning. But
trees are treason.
Yeah, seriously. But then as it goes on, like the song slows down and it kind of gets to like that bridge part of the song where he was saying 10 years down the road, he hasn't thought about her or called her in years. And she calls him up, but his kid answers, and his kid's like, "Who is this?" And then she asks, "Who is this?" and hands him the phone. He says he can't even recall her name. And then the chorus changes to happy instead. I reckon that's how I should be. It's like he has moved on. He's like in his life, maybe he should be happy instead. And the whole chorus flips on its head to where she's the one, like it calls him up and he says that he's okay. And then she's the one who wishes she was dead or there. Depending on I don't know the confirmation on that lyric yet, but I like the transition. I like the story aspect of a failed relationship, him being hung up on it, him being down in the dumps and saying, if she's happy and she calls me, I'm not going to like it. And then it gets to the point where he's moved on. He has a family. He's happy and he doesn't even think about that past thing in his, or that part of his past.
I hear there, not dead.
Yeah. I mean, it could be there.
Yeah.
Kyle,
yeah.
I don't know if you know Andy's reference, but there's a long-standing debate amongst the Turnpike community on whether the line is trees or treason. Because if once somebody says it, you can hear both. But there's
is there not an official lyric somewhere?
There is, but the trees people refuse to acknowledge reality.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But when they say it to you, you can understand why they hear trees. Mm. But that was Andy's reference there, and I think this is could be a similar thing. But I think that once the lyrics, it just came out Friday, once the lyrics kind of get out there a little more, we'll have a better confirmation.
They're starting to put them on Spotify, so that should be the official one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I don't have to use genius.com lyrics to look at
Yeah,
lyrics.
or AZ lyrics or Cowboy
AZ
lyrics or whatever it was.
Yeah. I love this song, man. I love how it just flips on a dime. Those songs like that just really get me going. You know what I'm saying? Winking a nod. No.
It gives him a tickle up his leg.
Yeah, an itch I just can't scratch. Yeah, when I first heard this
like
song,
when Chris Matthews said that when he first heard Obama speak, it gave him a tickle up his leg.
Ooh, wait. Is Chris Matthews still doing it?
He's not on TV anymore now.
Okay, he's got to be old as dirt. Yeah, first time I heard it, I just, like most of these songs, I just completely missed everything that the song was about. And about the 10th time I listened to it today, I finally caught it, and I was like, "Damn, that's awesome." Because this song, well, actually, this whole album has really like tested my ability to fully digest songs. A lot of albums and songs we don't listen to, you may have one or two that's pretty deep. So for me, every one of these things, man.
Yeah, I think that some of that too is like you're starting, since you joined the Cold Can team, you're starting to listen to a little bit more independent music than you probably used to, and it is more difficult to catch some of the songs on the first listen. Andy, I'm sure you can attest to that. I always say that some of these songwriters, to be able to really understand it, it's more of a grower than a shower.
Yeah,
that's what she said, or is that what he said?
No, that's what either said. I guess I don't know.
Touche. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Logan. I love this song. Man.
Yeah, great.
It wasn't in my top 3 though.
Yeah, but Happy Instead, banger. I put it up on the Cold Can's Instagram last night. Love that song. But then next up, Right Now, The Best. I think it's a very well written song, very good song. In a nutshell, don't always look ahead thinking something else is or would be better. Sometimes what is happening now is best, and sometimes what is happening now makes you into who you're supposed to be. What do you guys think about this one?
I really actually didn't like this song that much until like 10 minutes before we started recording this, and I was going through the lyrics, just double checking everything. The more I got to reading the lyrics and started writing some of this stuff down for notes, I was like, this is a lot better than I thought it was. Because some of it is to me, that is what it says, like the whole world's waiting on tomorrow, but what if I told you they're all lying? It's more so is that looking to what other people think as far as trying to find like some of your happiness now. And it's, everyone thinks they're going the wrong way, but they're looking at the maps all wrong, because everywhere's somewhere to someone. That happiness is different for everybody, and it's not always the same for everybody. So that, right now could be, today is not different from the rest. You could be happy right now if you just looked at it a different way.
Yeah. Like, for instance, me and Kyle want to live in North Carolina. Andy wants to sit in his truck in the truck stop in Minnesota, having to lock the doors so the lot lizards won't get him.
They don't have lot lizards there. They have donuts.
Well, where do they have the lot lizards? It sounds like you know.
They're generally in the South, I think. The only one I've seen was in South Carolina, so just saying.
No, but I think you're right about it. Good song. I mean, it like, again, speaks to in some ways growing up and learning to be content with your life rather than always trying to look for it's to avoid grass is greener syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, Kyle, next up, I know it's one that me and you both really like, The Outskirts. I want to say on this, love the production on this song. This is what I'm talking about when we're talking about fully produced stuff. I could see this isn't a mainstream sounding song, but if this played on mainstream radio, it would not be like, it was shocking to me. I think that because he is blowing up, if they played this on XM radio on the highway,
this would be on
wouldn't surprise me whatsoever.
Very surely.
But essentially, like, this isn't a overly complicated premise to this song. Yearning for a calm, simple life, with a loved one outside of town. And some of the lines that really stuck out to me is like, your smile outdoes the dawn. And I love, this isn't even something that's like super deep. I just think it's so hooky, and it captured me in the chorus. He's like, fireflies and scheming eyes turn this house into a home. I really dig this song. Kyle, what about you?
Oh, I love this song. It's so damn good. I like this song just because it just kind of reminds me of what you would be doing if you lived out in the country. Like I could imagine, I could just text you and be like, hey, come on by. We're drinking tonight. Me and the kids are sitting down. I don't have kids, but we're sitting down on the porch, just hanging out, not doing anything. And this song takes the topics that people make fun of and makes it very respectable.
Yeah, like a good example would be this versus Dirt Road Anthem, right? So with Dirt Road Anthem, you're turning down a dirt road, swerving like you're George Jones with a cold one in the console. I mean, essentially, you just said you and your buddies are drinking and driving down a dirt road, where this one is like, you're out in the country with your family and you're telling your loved ones, come on over and, share a cold one. It's a lot more of a responsible take on having fun out in the country than Jason Aldean's rap song he released back in 2011.
Yeah, the second verse of the song, man, is just phenomenal. Where he's talking about, how hot it is cutting the grass. I mean, as a homeowner, it's awesome cutting.
Yeah, throw that in our face. All right.
Well, Andy's a homeowner. He lives in his truck.
But grass to cut. I'm not a peasant.
I don't follow that take, but okay.
I don't know if it made sense, but I was going with it.
Okay.
He said he's burning rubber.
I love this second verse. I don't know if we want to read it. I'm not really going to, but I just love the little, smell of fresh cut grass. I don't care who you are. Drink a fifth. Bring your own heart. You put down a tailgate. I put down a tune. Cause out in the skirts, we move and shake with the moon. Great line. It's just And the main reason I like it is just, yes, we make fun of a lot of the, what is it called? Back Road Anthem or whatever? Is that
Dirt Road Anthem, yeah.
Dirt Road Anthem. We make fun of it, but a lot of people do that shit.
Oh, yeah, they do. I know people that do that.
Yeah, and I just like it because he takes things that a lot of people in our area do and wrote it in a very respectable.
Yeah, but he did it in a way that doesn't make the in-tune music listener. Well, yeah, it doesn't make the in-tune music listener feel like an idiot when they're listening to it. It's not. Yes. It's not. This isn't the yee yee version of this song. You know what I mean? This is the great way to describe it. This is a thoughtful man's take on what it's like to enjoy a cold beverage with out in the country.
Version. Yeah, it's the intellectual version of Dirt Road Anthem.
Because not everything about having being out in the country and enjoying that aspect of life has to be so fucking dumb all the time.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's one of the reasons I live it, man, because I don't live in the country, but I live in a rural area, and I like the rural area.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome to see somebody do it right. Yeah. He's not even really, it's kind of like a daydreaming song to me.
Yeah, because
he doesn't own a home there.
Yeah, they're yearning for this. They're looking forward to attaining this. In some ways, it's the idea of the American dream. This is what they want to get one day. This is where we want to end up. And again, that speaks to the American experience.
Right.
Yeah,
Andy,
it's hopeful they're hopeful that will be their life someday.
Yeah.
I love this song, man. It's phenomenal.
TA,
No complaints wasn't necessarily a standout out of this list for me, though.
I didn't think this was going to be one that really spoke to Andy.
I didn't think it was going to be a standout to y'all, to be honest.
I love it, man. It's up there.
Me and Kyle actually talked about this past weekend because when we were riding back from a wedding for a friend of ours that got married this past weekend, this one played, and we were talking about how much this one was a one that we both actually really liked, but. Outskirts. I think this is an accessible song that if someone who doesn't know Zach Bryan, this would be a good one. If they're a mainstream listener, it'd be like, listen to this one first.
Yes.
Yeah.
I concur.
Now, the next one is another one that I love the production on. And I think, Kyle, if I remember correctly, you said that you liked this one too, but younger years, man, I was vibing with this one. I love the way this sounds. Got a little bit of a rock and roll edge to it. I think that lyrically, the part where it's like letting go, moving on, keeping strong and finding God, I find it awfully odd that we made it here. enjoying all the pain of the younger years. It's a song that's about song about youth, coming of age. The things happen for a reason. Once again, I mean, it's the complicated and painful youth, but it's also fun and exciting. It's a weird time in your life, and this song kind of speaks to that. And then I know some people roll their eyes at lines like this, but I think it reminds me of 90s country, and I think it's just incredibly hooky, bro. I love it. The part where when he said like 3 times in the song Levi Jean Queen, it just sounds like something Sammy Kershaw would have sang in the 90s, and I was here for it.
Yep, it's the song right after Queen of My Double Wide Trailer.
Yeah. Like, what was it? Like the Charlie Daniels with the what was it? Charlie Daniels with the torque wrench. That was the line of that song.
Dude, I love this song. It's upbeat. It's awesome, and I mean, I really like the line "rough crowd downtown," but they're all my friends. It sounds like some shit.
Yeah.
It sounds like some shit that my mom told me. You don't need to hang out with them. But I hung out with all of them.
Yeah.
Not saying any of my friends. Turns out
I was that guy.
Yeah. I just reminded me. I was like, damn. That sounds like when I was 20 years old. My mom's like, "You sure you want to hang out with them?" Yes.
It's like it reminds you of the Randy Rogers song. Andy, what was it? The Crazy People song, where it's like they're riding downtown and they see people and his parents are telling him, "Son, don't look at them. These aren't your kind of crowd."
Yeah, I know. I can't think of the name of that song. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was Crazy.
It's a newer song too.
Yeah.
When I heard this song, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. I'm agreeing. This all sounds factual. That sounds about like my life. But to me, this song had a line to me that kind of, to an extent, summed up the album too. Is that being young is so painful and strange.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this album really speaks to being a young person in America, and specifically a young man in America. I mean, it speaks to the American experience for people in that demographic, and I think that's why it's relatable so much to the three of us, because we're roughly the same age as Zach Bryan. So in some ways, we can relate to some of the stuff that he's singing about, whether it was something that we've experienced recently or something that we, like Kyle was saying, years ago, being the rough crowd downtown. Andy, what was the line Turnpike has where about being the boy that their mama warned you about?
Oh, I mean, and this song even hints of that.
Yeah, I mean,
because we can say what we want to, but girls, I guess you could say, mature faster than dudes, and and the song hints at it. I mean, she'll try her best just to let him go, but she's sick and tired of his young. God damn, words are hard. But she's sick and tired of his rough and younger ways. I mean, our motto growing up was, "You're gonna be stupid, you gotta be tough." So might as well learn it the hard way. And I learned a lot of things the hard way. But I mean, this song spoke to me. The sad part is I'm not 22 when this song came out.
I know,
because I would have just
to be
played
fair,
this on a loop.
To be fair, maybe we would have, maybe we wouldn't have, because in some ways there's another layer to this song about kind of the realization of things happen for a reason, and about the complicated and painful aspect. I don't think when we're 22 we would have understood that part, because even though you felt it, I don't think that any of us were necessarily able to articulate the negative aspect. It was just all about, well, hey, buddy, you want to drink some more beer this weekend?
Oh yeah. Well, at that time you're living in the moment, and and to your point, the enjoying the pain of younger years kind of speaks to me now.
Yeah,
because you always do some cringe shit, but it's funny now.
Yeah,
funny stories.
But younger years, banger. All right,
absolute banger.
Cold Damn Vampires, what I took from this was don't let bad influences steal who you are and drag you down. But this is not one that really was. This was not one that's going to be one of my favorites. This wasn't my thing. I'm going to try to keep giving it some more listens and see if I relate to it more on future listens. But this was one that was not one of the ones that I was really gravitated toward.
Are they talking about music producers?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know.
The way
I
was
hoping
it.
Somebody got it.
I took it as they were talking about.
Got it.
What?
The part where they're talking about the artist I would go with you on the music producers. But it like sort of in the middle. Is there a hooker in this song?
I don't know. The way I looked at it was, here we go. Here's my annual Stained / Aaron Lewis plug. You know, the song where he's, where he's talking about, you could lose a few pounds. But, oh my goodness, I got to look it up now because I'm blanking out on the name of the song.
I would help you, but I don't listen to Stained.
Well, it's actually an Aaron Lewis when he went country. But, yeah, anyway, it's a part in one of his songs where he's like, it's with Charlie Daniels, where Charlie Daniels is playing the music producer, and he's like, you could ditch that wife and lose a few pounds. And that's kind of what I took this song to be, was like a predatory kind of, not predatory in a weird sense, but
like from a professional sense.
Yeah, from a professional sense.
Sound
like,
the dotted
don't let
line.
them take it. Yeah,
sound the dotted line, son. All your dreams will come true. The fortune, the fame, the women.
Yep, that's kind of the way I looked at this song.
Yeah.
But I didn't get this song. I did really like the way this song sounded. This is one of my favorite sounding songs, even though I have no idea what it's about. I like the whistle. I like the chorus. I like pretty much the whole sound of this song.
Yeah. This is just one that I think we're going to have to spend a little more time with, because this wasn't something that was going to be really it didn't really grab me that much. But, and then Andy, next one. How do I pronounce this?
Tishomingo.
This was one that up until 30 minutes before we were about to record, somehow I missed this every single listen over the last 2 days where I didn't listen to it.
Call me crazy. The last podcast we did on the playlist you sent me, it just completely omitted like 4 songs on it. I've
heard Kenshin said the same thing, and I don't know why, but this one just never played. And then it started playing, and I was like, I was like, when you don't have repeat on and a playlist ends and it sends you to a similar song, sometimes by the same artist. I thought that's what happened. But then I saw, no, it's on the list of 17 that we picked for this. And then I listened to it. Then I listened to it again. Then I listened to it one more time. And I was like, I really like this song. This song is a song about being alone and wanting to be back home, or at least have a sense of feeling at home. The line where he's like, heading down a dark, cold road, dreaming of a porch swing and lights to find myself back home. But I think the line that really kind of got me, and this kind of is foreshadowing for the next song on the track list, but he said, Mama said love will always lead me home, but I've been following a lonely road for way too long. Like, there are some killer lines, as Zach Bryan usually has in this song. And I on only 3 listens prior to recording, that's generally my take on it. That's what I really dig it.
Yeah, I don't know that. Go ahead, Kyle.
This was one of the songs I just couldn't figure out.
Because I have a different, sort of a different take on it than Logan does.
Is Tishomingo a place? Tishomingo? I mean, I don't
I'm assuming that's the town where he's breaking horses. It's either a ranch or a town, one or the other.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yes, it's a place.
I was just lost. Yeah. What is breaking? What are you talking about breaking in? Like we could ride them? Is that what he means?
Yeah, you take like a
you ride them
not capable of being ridden. Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I thought though the song was sort of more of like a search for like he's looking for himself, for like meaning and purpose, because he's to the line where he's, I am hoping to find myself back home. They're like, when he gets home, he's hoping maybe he'll find himself there, because like when he's in Tishomingo, like it says, he spends most nights wondering how far train cars can travel or how far a man can go before he truly becomes unraveled. The further he goes, he's not finding himself, but then he's wondering, maybe I can find myself back home. That's the way I took it.
Yeah. I can see that.
Andy, your articulation makes sense to me.
Yeah, makes sense to me too.
I can see Logan's too, though. Some of these songs, though, I think they could have 2 meanings to him, because he is that caliber of writer.
Yeah, definitely agree. But Tishomingo, somehow Spotify screwed me on it and didn't want to let me listen to it until 30 minutes before the podcast. So, at Spotify if you're mad about it.
We need a drum roll for the next song.
Yeah. So the next song, I had heard somebody on Twitter mention it, and I was like, didn't want to keep reading about it because I wanted to be able to listen to it for myself. And this song was ultimately ended up being my favorite song of these 17 that we listened to. And I don't say this lightly because this doesn't happen to me a lot. I literally listen to a lot of independent music, listen to some mainstream music, and I listen to a lot of artists that I consider to be good, heady songwriters, and songs do kind of hit you in some way. This was the first time in a while that a song has literally given me chill bumps when I listen to it. And She's All Right is the name of it. The song, is about it's his mom passing and its effect it's had on him. But I kind of want to let you guys kind of jump in before I kind of talk about some of the lines that I liked. But, this song really was a gut punch, and really it made me feel at a deeper level than most songs typically make me feel. And I think some of that is, the empathy aspect of I'm very close with my mother. So it's like, knowing the story of him losing his mother, this song was just incredibly well written and very resonating with me. So what did you guys think of She's All Right?
I think this is one of those songs that is extremely introspective, because the way I looked at this song was he really, really wants her to be here to watch him finally realize some of his successes. And she's not. And he's also kind of trying to look at himself in the same way. Like, what would my mom think about some of the stuff or the way I'm living? And man, this chunk was just, it was heavy.
Yeah.
It was heavy.
Yeah, this one's definitely my favorite. And it's just like the way the waves of emotions that he portrays throughout this song is incredible. And like, I don't know what it is, but it's like the way that he talks about New York, and like it's almost, you can feel like you're almost standing beside him, like when he's going through some of these like emotions. And then, like, it just like at the beginning, like where he's so happy that he could cry, but then at like the very end, like where he goes, he's so down, and that it just, the end of this song,
I'm so down that I could cry. Why did my best friend up and die like that? Like that. Dude, that was a heavy moment. I mean, I did
and
too.
And then they have to play the voicemail after it. It's like,
dude, and the voicemail, incredible artistic decision on his point, on his part there. Like that just put a bow on a fantastic song. Because Andy, like you said, the waves of emotion between anger and loss and grief and sadness, and it's like it packed a punch with this song. And Kyle, to your point, you were talking about. It goes, one of the things that really caught me, and then it's followed up by something you said. In I think it was like the second half of the song, he was like, and I still recall the night you're heading home. You were fighting so hard, I knew you couldn't be alone. Your hand in mine, I knew I had to be a man from that night on. Like his mother was passing, and he had to kind of like, quote unquote, grow up, and he was going to be by himself in some ways. But then it goes into what you were saying of how like, one day being able to like wish his mom was here to see the stuff that he's accomplishing, but it says here, like, I'll tell you all these stories one day and we'll laugh like we used to and waste the night away. You'll say, boy, I've missed you, but son, I was with you this whole time. And then it gets into the chorus and everything about she's watching over him, and he'll be all right because she's all right. It's such a heavy song, tons of emotions. And there are just so many lines in this song. I don't want to end up reading the entire song, but
I thought that there's literally, for this, I almost had nothing wrote down because I really don't even know what to say about it. There is not a bad word in the song. That it could not have been better.
Yeah, and sonically it was interesting too, because the verses and the chorus are handled in a much different fashion. Like it doesn't seem to have that normal flow that songs do, where it's like, it kind of has a similar rhythm or similar melody, but it kind of is a little quieter or hush tones in the verses when it's something serious, and then it gets a little louder, like you see a lot of times in mainstream. It was handled in a very different way and sounds different, but it works in this song. But for me, the biggest part too is like we've said, it's the songwriting in this, and then knowing the context of the real story, of his mother passing and everything. This was a gut punch if I ever had one in a song.
I thought he killed it too sonically. Like the way he says the city lights would have blew mama's mind. I just love the way that sounds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was one I actually had written down in my notes.
Yeah. Well, the verse you just alluded to, why my best friends just have to go and die like that. The verse after that hits just as hard. It's a shame when people ain't around to see the smiles they nurture, the laughter they breed. These people don't know me, and I don't plan on showing them what I've seen.
Yeah.
Which is freaking tough, because
if we're going to do the whole song too, like the more I search, the less I find too.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the Kyle, I had the one you had. You said I had that written down as well, and then Andy too. Like you said, it followed up. These city lights will blow mama's mind, but the more I search, the less I find. But I'm all right. She's here tonight. That just, it's hard to say one without the other, because it just keeps building on the other one and just makes it even more impactful when you look at it. In lieu of us reading you the whole song verbatim, listen to this song. Like if you don't believe in his prowess as a songwriter, this is one I want you to listen to, because this one is a fantastic song.
One more point in this thing. One of the things that Kyle said too, I thought that was like where he wanted to see like his mom to see him now and like some of his successes. I also, from like the line that Kyle just mentioned, that it kind of makes you think too that his mom never got to see him become happy either. Then that was one of the things that he wanted her to see.
Right.
Not just the success, that he actually became happy as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, this song is just like deep on so many levels, man.
Yeah.
It's just awesome, man.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I'm claiming dibs on the next Sad Boy.
It's almost a perfect song. I can't find a flaw. I don't want to throw around perfect song loosely, but
yeah, I'm with you on that. But I mean, yeah, it's you're really gonna have to be nitpicking to find something that's negative about that song. But then you follow up "She's All Right" with a cover from a Jimmy Davis song from 1940, one that we all probably are very aware of, "You Are My Sunshine." And I think that in a vacuum, I don't love when covers like this are included. It's a thing of, contextually, you have to understand that it's a thing that previous eras of country music, they used to do a lot of things like this. Like people, not this song in particular, but people like Waylon Jennings and George Jones and Johnny Cash would cover songs, and different people would have number one hits with the same song, sometimes within a short period of time. So it wasn't looked at years ago, even with the legends that everybody holds in such high regard as people do now. But the reason I think this song works and was needed in this spot was because you're following up such a real emotional, heavy song with a cover that everybody's familiar with. It's like "You Are My Sunshine," "You Make Me Happy When Skies Are Gray." Andy's laughing, but I think the sequencing of this track made sense. If you listen to it in order, if you don't listen to it on shuffle, you listen to it how a record's supposed to be listened to, it makes sense and it works. If you listen to it on shuffle, you're probably like, why the hell is this in here? But
well,
the reason I'm laughing is because you keep saying this is a cover that that everybody knows and everything. I realize this may be a Andyism, but I actually
it's a verb now.
Literally you said every line I knew to this song, and to be honest, I didn't know if it was a cover or not, because I realized very quickly I don't know any more of this song. He could have wrote the rest of this and I wouldn't know.
Well, it's a cover. Jimmy Davis released it in 1940.
Everybody knows the whole song. I don't know the whole song.
It was originally released in 1940.
I knew 3 lines, and I didn't know if it was like Wagon Wheel where they, borrowed the chorus but wrote the verses. I was like, I don't know this song any more than that.
Yeah, my whole thing is, and like you said, that is kind of an Andyism, and I find that very hilarious. But my whole thing is, if you listen to it in the way it was sequenced here, I think it makes sense. You listen to it on shuffle, and it's kind of out of place. But I get why it was, in my mind, why it was placed there after She's All Right.
I don't have anything else to say, really.
No. All right, moving into Darlin'. Andy, I feel like this is going to be a song you really like. Could be wrong. Top 3, figured. I said I'll let you go from
that
there.
one.
This was immediately. I really liked it, but I was like, this is going to be one that Trucker Andy just has in his top 3 list. I knew it from the moment I heard it.
Yeah. I like the concept of the songs where, the self-awareness is like, I am an absolute wreck right now. And if you don't stick around, that's fine. But, I get it. But, hopefully later on you'll be around. I love how it throws back to She's All Right with the, do you think she's still proud looking down,
Yeah.
The self-real, I'm a mess. And then the one of the lines, the world's got so confusing. I'm a fool for cheap amusement. I love that line. I like the sound of this song. The writing, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean the emotion and like the hold me through the shakes, darling. Like I really like that. I mean, like you said, it's a song about battling demons and trying to get clean of whatever is the parasite in your life bringing you down, and the struggle that is, and then kind of like the self-awareness. I'm with you on that, Andy. I think it's an incredible song.
Yep. Glad. Okay. All right. Because I really thought this song was about an addiction. And I was like,
yeah, that's where my mind went to.
I didn't want to say it, and then y'all be like, no, not at all. I'll be like, well damn.
No, it's definitely about that.
Yeah. I mean, what really tipped me off to that was, when he said fiending. I mean, I was like, you don't
and the
use
shakes.
That. Yeah,
the
you don't
shakes
use the word fiending,
I was like,
Yeah,
it's true. But yeah, the shakes is what tipped me off. I was just like, okay. Like, you ever had so much to drink that the next day you're kind of like, yeah, me neither. Throwing up stomach acid. Ugh. All right, moving right along. Ninth Cloud, one of the more rock influenced moments on the record. Kyle, I know you read something kind of cool about this song and when he recorded it.
Yeah, he recorded it in a cow pasture, like not in a studio at all. It's just him with his guitar and a kick drum behind him, and you can kind of tell. There's actually a video of when they recorded it on YouTube. They might have actually studio recorded it, but the original version was recorded in a field.
Oh, so you're saying that they had a YouTube video out in the field?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I thought you were saying you read that the studio.
I don't know if it's official. It's rumored, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That they cut the actual. That it's rumored from what I was reading that they never actually did a studio set.
Okay.
On the Spotify one.
On the Spotify.
On the Spotify, yeah. On the Spotify thing you hear, that it's actually the same one.
Okay.
But no one really knows. But when he first released it, he's just in a cow pasture with a kick drum and him and a guitar.
Yeah,
and you can hear the wind a lot.
Yeah.
I love this song though. It freaking slaps.
Yeah, dude, I love the line on it where he's like, get on the road again, another chance at fitting in, but fitting in to kids like me is dying. Like, I don't know why I like that, but I do. It's like, it's the whole idea that you always have to chase the popular trend or try to be the popular kid, I think is ridiculous. And some people are just not cut that way. But I dig this song too. I like the rock vibes it gives me too.
I'm not going to lie. This song took me probably 5 listens before I realized that Ninth Cloud is Cloud 9. It's the same.
Yeah.
I like how he says he does that kind of stuff though. Like where he did it in Something in the Orange. So he just says stuff different than everybody else.
He does.
But I did like the line I had wrote down was the hard times are just a step to get to where I am on this Ninth Cloud. I even wrote down Cloud 9 after I got it, but I had to fix that. I like how he's just, the hard times, the more to the concept of the whole album that the hard times is just part of living life.
Oh yeah. All right.
I love this
go
song.
ahead.
I was going to say, I love this song.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic song.
It was in my top 3.
Yeah. All right, so we got 3 more to go. 2 of them we've definitely heard before. One of them we've talked about, I think, on the podcast. But number 15 on this half of the record, I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about it because it's not a new song. He's released Oklahoma City before. It's just now with more full production on it in the studio. But this was a crowd favorite at the show that I went to. The people loved it. So you guys have any thoughts on Oklahoma City?
I don't know who the person in the. I get the story, but who's the story about? Do you know, Logan?
I'll have to listen to it a little more because I've heard this song so much just in playlists that I haven't really sat down for this. We had 17 to go over. This was one of the ones I kind of glossed over a little bit.
There were some lines I really
I knew Andy was going to put me on the spot on this one, on the one that I didn't.
I just
every time he does this. One of the ones that I take it easy on, he asks me questions about.
But some of the line, like I actually, it's not even write it down. I'm proud of myself. But the line where you moved way out west to write some songs, become more bitter. I love that line. Is it the goodbyes that haunt you, or the new, or the fears of new hellos? Don't even know what that even means, but I like it. And then I don't get it, but I just like it. And then waiting for tomorrow till tomorrow is not coming. And the only thing I don't get about the song is I don't get who the person is. I mean, obviously they're an artist. They're going to go out and write songs, but then it's like you come back to with the porch light still on. I'm like, is it a guy you know? This guy
I think
like
it's
almost like a.
I think it's a friend because when he says, what's her name, Miss Cole asked about you.
Yeah.
You don't just you're not like on that familiar of a basis if you're not close to him. It's got to be a friend. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I mean, and the kids talk about you like you're some kind of legend or whatever. It's got to be a friend.
That's what I kind of was thinking too. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, it's got to be a friend. Maybe not. Yeah, that's
probably the same age too. Because if Miss Cole sounds like a teacher, so that would mean that you probably were in school together.
Yeah, I took it as a teacher, like a neighbor or something. Yeah, that's the way I took it. So it's so funny that Andy was really interested in the song that me and you kind of skipped over.
Every time, I swear, anytime we try to do an album review, Andy always calls me out and asks me specific questions about the song that I don't listen to as much for time purposes.
Andy
he has like a
because me and you will like a song and Andy will hate it, and then
he'll be like
different, and then he'll
call me out on the air, and I'm just like, of course. Next time, I just need to pick the songs that I think I'm going to skip and just listen to the shit out of them. But all right, moving right along to "Son to Me." This song is kind of one of the more straight up love songs on the album. It's a cliche topic of a good girl and kind of the bad boy, but he's done it in a not really cliche way. It's pretty well written. Like, find someone who grows it references his mother again, but he's like, find someone who grows flowers in the darkest parts of you. And then it's like, the sweetest of sunflowers, how you're the sun to me. I mean, as far as love songs go, which isn't really my forte, this one's not bad. It takes, like I said, a cliche idea of good girl, bad boy, and does it in a way that doesn't make you feel dumb for listening to it or make you want to hurl for listening to it being a love song.
I actually really like this song. I hate love songs, and when the first few lines of this song, I really thought I was not going to like it because I don't like love songs until you got to the only bad you've ever done was to see the good in me. But like the way you said good girl, bad guy, but like the way that he wrote that was just it's different than the way everybody else says it.
Exactly.
And then like that, and then it towards the end too. This like where people say like you're the better, you're the only good in me and all that stuff. Like the way he worded it, you walked me home that evening, I could barely walk, and you spoke so softly to me on the days that I couldn't talk. The way he words that is just
it's better than the typical schlock that we hear from people where they're just like, oh, I'd be nothing without you, baby. Oh, you saved me. Like, get the fuck over yourself is what I normally. It's what I want to tell the mainstream pop country dudes that are all the time putting out these boyfriend country songs. This is Zach Bryan's attempt at boyfriend country, and like Andy said, did it in a much better way with more story and a way that doesn't make me feel disgusted by listening to.
This was top 3 on this for me. Because he also took,
really?
as you said, such a common.
Interesting.
I think it's so well written. He took such a common topic you've heard 1,000 times,
and probably rolled your eyes about 1,001 times.
Yeah,
and then this next time happens, and you like
opening lines to this. I was like, I am not liking this. I don't like what you're talking about. But then
Andy's like, love ain't real, Zach.
You've heard 1,000 times though, and he just flat out just did it better than everybody else.
Yeah, Zach Bryan did a very, very good job on this song. I agree with you on that.
It is so well written. That's why it's top 3. I think he absolutely killed the writing on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
please don't come to me and put me on the spot.
I'm not, because you're engaged
over this song.
Yeah. All right, moving right along.
I just didn't enjoy it.
Highway Boys. We've heard this one. I think we talked about it on one of the episode.
Banger.
It's a banger. I really like this song. Like I said, I believe we have talked about this on this, so I'm not going to go into big detail on Highway Boys.
I don't think we did. I think we planned on it.
I think maybe that was the case, but
I don't remember this.
I have one line that I just think is an absolute awesome line, and it's just working to keep truth in songs.
I think we're thinking of the same line. It's all my old friends miss having me around, but highways work both ways.
No, that's a great line too. But I was keeping truth in songs.
I thought about writing that. But if we're going to go on it, didn't write either one of those downs. I wrote there. So if you need me, call. If you're in love, fall.
Oh, I love that one too.
Just know highways boys don't stick around at all.
Well, Andy, you're the highway boy, so yeah. That line, all my old friends miss having me around, but highways work both ways. It's just it's really passive aggressive, but a shot across the bow at him.
That kind of made me question. That line did make me question. How exactly do you feel about these people back at home?
Well, right after he said, I can't stand the liars in this town. If you need me, you can find me. I'm slightly out of control. But that's what I was kind of wondering. It's like, are they really your boys? I mean, you sound like you're kind of pissed off at them. Yeah,
that's where it did give me a little bit of mixed vibes on. You miss the people back home, or you just kind of say, fuck them?
I wouldn't say that. I feel like he's kind of mad because they don't.
Well, not everybody back home is somebody that you want to hang out with either. I mean,
well, I didn't look at it that way. I was looking at it more like he's on the road, and they're like, hey man, we should hang out. But like, hey, you're not making an effort to come, see me. I'm out here doing big things. If we're really boys,
That's kind of the way I was picking up.
Like, are we really boys if you're not really coming to?
You ain't coming to the shows.
You ain't coming to. Like, that's what I took away from it. You can drive just like I can.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
That's the way I'd looked at this song was.
Yeah.
But good song. Just know them highway boys don't stick around.
The high boys. But yeah, good song. But before we wrap things up, that's the first 17 songs, what we're calling part 1. We're going to have part 2 next week for the rest of the record. That way it gives us time to be able to actually dive into it and digest it in a way that we feel is necessary when you're talking about a songwriter that we feel is as talented and as good at wordplay as Zach Bryan is. So let's close things out with what our top 3 songs off the first 17 from part 1 is. Kyle, if you want to go first.
Yep. Which obviously, hold on. Your Years, Ninth Cloud, and the best one on the record is She's All Right.
Andy?
She's All Right, definitely number 1. I'm going Darling and Son to Me in no particular order.
All right, so for me, it's not too different from yours, Kyle. Number 3, it's Younger Years. Number 2, it's Happy Instead. And number 1 is definitely She's All Right.
I would like to give an honorable mention to Outskirts. It was very close, just because I really respected his take on that.
Yeah. Like I said, I agree with you on that. It was just outside of my top 3. But
yeah.
So, yeah, that's our what are some of the songs you guys liked off of, first 17 songs from part one? This kind of been our take on it. We've gone a little bit more in depth with this album than we really have Andy in years. I think it was probably 2019 Lamentations was the last record we went track by track on.
Did we not do it with Co's sellout record?
We haven't done track by track in a while. So
okay.
Yeah, it's the first time in a while we've done that. But yeah, I mean, we're big fans of the record so far.
It's just too damn long.
Yeah, it's just 34 songs. It's impressive that he's able to put out 34 songs that the majority are good to really, really good. But at the same time, for the purposes of Friday to Monday when we have a show to do and the purposes of keeping this under 3 hours because we're not Joe Rogan, is we needed to split it up. So we'll have part 2 next week. You can find that on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, Podbean, Stitcher, and most of the time you can find it on YouTube as well. So be sure to follow us on all that. Give us 5 stars and a great review. Check out the website, coldcansnetwork.com. Check out the blog content and the shop with the hats and the koozies. And while you're at it, give us a follow on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And
tweet at us.
Tweet at us, yeah. Tell us what your favorite songs were.
Your thoughts, comments, questions,
tell us
concerns.
Tell us what you thought we were right about, and more importantly, tell us where we were wrong. I like a little controversy sometimes. Eric
Or just tell us where Andy was wrong.
Exactly. That's even funnier. Yeah. But as Eric Bischoff once said, controversy creates cash. So I like a little controversy every now and then.
Amen to that.
All right. So for this episode of Country and Cold Cans, I'm Logan sitting here with Kyle and Trucker Andy. And we will see you next week with part 2 of Zach Bryan's American Heartbreak.